My name is Maria Fitzgerald. I work as a security guard who works the night shift at many places, mainly to raise money for my family. For the most part, it's been fun. Except for one time. You're probably wondering what that one time was. Well, it's kinda a long story. It happened in May of 2017. Specifically, the time where I was guarding the temple of the beloved goddess of light, Palutena, while she was away on vacation.
Hey there, welcome to the temple. I'm Timothy, and I'll be your guide for the week. This is the Temple of Palutena, the goddess of light. I'm the manager of the temple. I make sure everyone does their job correctly. Thanks for helping us out here. We really needed a security guard to take the job while Pitt and Palutena are away. So, as you might know, they're on a 7-day vacation since they needed a break from their normal routines for a while. They brought the Skyworld police with them in case of any attack from something. It's hard protecting land from up in the sky, you know. Now, enough about me ranting. Let's just talk about your job. Now, as you can guess, you will be watching security cameras to keep an eye on the place to make sure nobody breaks in. This is an old place, so those cameras are cheap. Because of this, the temple has night lights in certain rooms so that you can still see them. Some rooms, however, keep the regular lights on because there are no night lights for them. The place also has a ventilation system. There are no cameras in the vents themselves because, well, we tried adding cameras into them a long time ago, but we gave up because they wouldn't work right. They just kept glitching out, or even worse, just straight up breaking entirely, so we decided to just not add cameras in the vents at all. Some rooms also have unique features, but I won't be explaining them tonight, as to not keep rambling for too long. Now, in your office, there is a door on each side of you that has a light that's used to blind people, typically used against intruders. However, just because you blind someone with the light doesn't mean you're safe. Intruders can still get into your office and possibly attack you. That's why we have the doors. If you see someone suspicious at your door once you turn on a light, close the door immediately. Be sure to keep that teleporter button we gave to you so that you can leave at 6 a.m. once it's done charging for 6 hours. The power supply here might go down quite fast. This is mainly due to the light that I mentioned earlier. Luckily, the office lights and door lights don't use power, but the doors and monitor do. So please try to conserve as much power as you can. Oh, one more thing. Use the lights as much as you can. This is essential when someone breaks in and is coming for you. That's all. Good night, and good luck. Well, look at that. You made it past your first night on the job. Thanks for taking my advice. I'm not really the best at giving it, though. We got your report on what you saw last night. We checked the footage you sent us so that we could see it. And you weren't kidding when you said you saw an angel dressed in black walking around the place. Funny enough, I actually know that guy. Dark Pit, I think his name was. He was some kind of incomplete clone of Pit or something. I met him when I first came here to apply for the manager of the temple. From what I've seen, he was a bit of an arrogant guy. Hey, that reminds me. Over the past few days before Pit and Paulatina left for vacation, Dark Pit has shown some strange behavior. not like his usual self, sometimes even aggressive. I don't know if he does that sometimes, but what I do know is that this is unusual for him. I have my own monitor I carry around that's connected to the cameras in the temple, so I used that to see if Dark Pit was doing anything in there, and I saw that he had some friends with him. One of them looked strangely similar to Palutena, and the other ones looked unfamiliar to me. I watched them as much as I could and saw that they were all practicing some sort of attack. The Palutena lookalike seemed to teleport into the kitchen on Cam 10 at random times before teleporting to one of the hallway corners. Then, after a moment of standing there while the door was closed, she teleported to the other side that was open before disappearing. The second one slowly headed towards the vent that connects the meeting room to the right hallway before crawling through it and dashing through the hall. I couldn't see them running because they were quite fast, but I presume that they were probably heading for your office. I don't know why, but I feel suspicious about what Dark Pit and his little gang are up to. So just for safety, I say keep your guard up more. If that Palutena lookalike teleports to a hall corner, close the door to the side she's at immediately until she teleports to the other side, and then keep that side shut until she leaves. Now for the other one, check cam 6 as much as you can, and use the button on the camera that allows you to close the vent whenever you need to. Closing the vent door there raises the temperature in the cellar, but nothing bad really happens in there yet, so don't worry. But if by chance they do get through, close the right door as fast as you can. The downside is that they might bang in the door, which drains power, so I don't recommend that. One last thing, after your shift, be sure to visit my room at the motel, and we'll come up with a plan of how we can get to the bottom of this. I'm going to leave it to you. Good night. Hi there, good job. So you remember that plan we talked about? You know, you continuing to do your shift while trying to find out what Dark Pit is up to, and we do the same thing during the day? Okay, good. So, tonight would be a good time to explain some of the other unique features of the cameras. Now you already know about the vent door on Cam 6, right? Well, there's also another vent door button in the cellar on Cam 18. That vent door runs on a battery due to limitations, so you can't keep that closed forever. Also, you can't close both that vent door and the Cam 6 vent door at the same time due to other limitations. But what you can do, however, is charge the vent door in the cellar if necessary. This charging method also applies to the machinery door lock on Cam 2. The charger can only be used on one thing at a time, so you can't charge the cellar vent door and the machinery door lock at the same time. I hope that makes sense. Anyway, back onto our investigation. I used the motel monitor again before I went to bed, and saw that Dark Pit had 2 new members of his gang with him. The first one tried to go to the cellar and get to your office through the vent, and the other one was a rather huge turtle-like monster creature that slept in the cellar until it got too hot in there. Now, for the one that goes through the Cam 18 vent door, I say watch that area as much as you can. Only close that door if you hear him coming through it, especially if you have a low battery on it. Be sure to use that charger in there often as well, and keep it closed until you hear him leave. And as for the monster, since closing the Cam 6 vent heats up the cellar, I say only close it if the temperature is below 100 or something. You know, with all the stuff going on, I'm thinking that Dark Pit and his little gang are most likely up to something, and it's not good. I say keep an eye on him and his gang on the cameras, and keep him out of your office. That's all I can tell you for now, so good night and be careful. Hello? Oh, good, you're there. You're doing a good job so far. I'm glad we hired you to keep an eye on things. So, after this, you'll have 3 more nights to go before you're done. Man, I'm really gonna miss you, Maria. Maybe we can call each other at some points. Anyways, while working in the temple during today, we noticed a problem with our janitor robot. You know, the one in the Camp 5 lounge that's used for cleaning. We call it the Robinator. Might remind you of a certain show, huh? Get it? You don't get it, do you? Okay, back on topic. Now, normally that machine was used to clean up the place during the daytime, but for some reason that didn't happen today. Instead, it completely ignored its job and was going straight for the machinery, the room on Cam 3. Then all of a sudden, it broke the generator, which allows you to use the doors and lights in your office. We tried fixing the robot, but for some reason we couldn't. It must be having a major malfunction or something, but luckily we have a solution. Actually, two. One of them being the lock button I briefly mentioned. If you happen to see Robinator on Cam 2, lock the door immediately. Remember that the lock runs on power, so you may need to charge it here and there. In the case it gets in, however, we luckily have another solution. There are 2 buttons in the machinery room camera. One for a light flash, which somehow helps fix malfunction on Robinator's system for a short amount of time, and the other for resetting the generator. So, if Robinator gets into the machinery room and disables the generator, just flash the light, and it'll go back to the lounge. After you do that, just reset the generator, and after 8 seconds, you'll be able to use your doors and lights again. I seriously hope it won't be too much of an issue, especially in this situation. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, while we were looking at the cameras from our monitor in the motel earlier, what we saw looked like a suit of some kind. It looked a lot like Pit and Dark Pit, except it was wearing yellow clothes. I don't really know where it came from. Have you seen it? No? Huh. We'll look around the temple for it later. You just keep doing what you're doing tonight, and hopefully we make some progress with our investigation. Be careful. Dark Pit, except it was wearing yellow clothes. I don't really know where it came from. Have you seen it? No? Huh. We'll look around the temple for it later. You just keep doing what you're doing tonight, and hopefully we make some progress with our investigation. Be careful. Hi there, it's me, Timothy. I'll admit I didn't think you'd be this good. Then again, I needed some practice when I first applied to be the manager of Palatena's temple. I'm actually the first human to come to Skyworld, in case you didn't know. Funny enough, I was once a military general before I got the job here. Just something I thought I'd tell you. Anyways, before I went to bed, I was talking to Palatena on the phone today about our investigation. I told her about what we saw, as well as what you saw in there during your shifts. After hearing what I said, she could tell that something was definitely not right, and I could as well. So remember the plan, just keep doing your shift normally, and keep defending yourself. Oh yeah, by the way, we searched the temple for the suit like I said we would yesterday. We didn't find it anywhere today, but I did manage to spot it again in the camera before I went to bed. I don't know a lot about it yet, but what I do know is that it can apparently talk. I saw it standing up, speaking to Dark Pit in a demonic voice. I don't know about you, but I think that suit might be possessed. Creepy, right? I don't know if it'll show up tonight. Sure hope not. Alright, I need to get to bed now. Good night, and please be safe. Hey there, it's me again. I need to tell you this quickly. Something happened about an hour before your shift, and it was horrifying. So, I sent one of the Centurions into the temple just so we could test to see if Dark Pit and his little gang would come out if someone else was in the temple at night. But while the Centurion was in the office, the poster in there changed to a poster of Pit in a yellow suit with black eyes and white pupils. The Centurion touched the poster and it somehow changed back to normal. But the second time it happened, he decided not to touch the poster. But when he put the camera down, that suit that I saw before appeared in the office and somehow caused the power to go down extremely fast. The Centurion almost freaked out before the suit got up and went to grab him. Well, luckily, he made a clutch escape. I decided to check the footage on my camera monitor after that, and I actually caught the suit moving again. It had a creepy smile on its face, and we could obviously tell that it was out to kill, which goes along with my theory that the suit might be possessed. All I can say is, when the poster changes to look like that suit, touch it before you pull the camera. Got it? Good. I'm sorry for my stuttering. It's just, now I'm really starting to think that Dark Pit's up to something bad, and that suit is somehow involved with it. Maria, please, be extremely careful tonight. I really don't want you to get hurt. Things are starting to get really dangerous in there. Good night. Maria, are you there? Oh, good. I need to tell you something. I finally managed to figure out what Dark Pit is up to. It turns out that he was jealous because he felt like he wasn't appreciated enough by his friends after everything he's done for them. So he planned to take over the temple to force people to respect him and treat him like their ruler. So he did this just for respect. And what's worse, he was moving around with his new friends because he knew that you were in there, watching you, and was planning to kill you. All for his plan to get respect. That just shows how greedy he is. Now I can understand not getting enough respect from people, but Dark Pit completely overreacted, especially with attempting murder. Good thing he didn't know I caught him red-handed saying his plan out loud in my monitor. I would have stopped you from going in there, but it was already too late afterward. Sorry, I would unlock the doors in there, but the doors have a lock that automatically locks during the night. So you're gonna have to work one more night in there. Just do everything I taught you to do and keep Dark Pit and the others out of the office. Okay? Alright, be careful.